Another episode of Cloud Talk Live. So glad that you're here with us today. Everyone, my name is Jeff DeVerter, Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology, coming to you live from the Gaylord Hotel here in beautiful and hot Dallas, Texas. You know, this month is a strange month of it's a strange month of travel. There's a huge amount of it. Every episode that we do of this month, I'll be in a different location. So today, Dallas. Next week, San Antonio. Week after that, Utah. Got an event in Utah with an amazing channel partner. After that, I'll be at the VMware conference in Las Vegas. After that, guys, this episode begins where we will end the month, and this is the month of the road to Google Next, and I'm so excited about that. And so my guest here today is Rob from, you're going to get to meet him here in just a second, from Google. But folks, I want to remind you to do all the things you normally do, and that is introduce yourself. Everybody's already started doing that. I'm so glad that you are. Thank you, Daniel, for bringing that up in the lower part of the screen here. So introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us where in the world you are. Now, everyone, this month I mentioned we're in all things Google. And there may be a few other subjects that show up here and there. But folks, this is everything that leads us up to the event later in the month. In fact, at the end of the month, out in San Francisco for the Google Next conference. Are you going to be there? Put it in your chat and let us know if you're going to be there. Also, if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, that's right, the Cloud Talk podcast, I'd encourage you to do that. All of the audio from these live events shows up over there in that podcast stream, but also there is original content that shows up there as well. And I'd love for you to be able to get that. So last week, in fact, where was it this week? Brian Lilly was last week, the president of the Rackspace private cloud here, has an amazing life story. I think you would really enjoy listening to that. Hey, Chris, glad that you are here. One of my favorite people at Rackspace. So glad you're here. Look at it. Netherlands is here. Denver is here. I saw Chuck Britton pop into there. Amber is here. Everyone, thank you so much. India. Folks, I look at the metrics every single week from this event. India, you guys crush it. You are some of the most folks as far as a region is concerned. We got who show up from India. So thank you so much for being there. Josh from Oregon is here. Thank you so much. Josh, it looks like Josh is planning to go down to Google Next. I'd love for you to come by the Rackspace booth. I have no idea what it is, the number it is, but you'll find it. We'll be there. You'll see it all branded with our AI offering, and love to get to visit with you, have some fans show up. I'm trying to get some stickers made, some podcast live stickers. So if you come by, you can pick up one of those. Mexico is here. Mexico is always welcome in the Cloud Talk Live podcast. So glad that you're here. Egypt, are you close to the pyramids? I have a fascination with the pyramids, but that's not the subject for this event. All right, with that, everyone, let's get Rob up here. I'd love to introduce you to our first Google guest of the month. Hey, Susan's here as well. Sorry, I got distracted. And that's Rob Harper. Rob, welcome to Cloud Talk Live. Your first time here.
It's my first time here. Thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Glad that you're here. Did you have any idea that you would be talking really to half the world, maybe more than that, when you came on the show?
No, I did not. I was sitting backstage looking at all these people come across. Anyone from Maryland to India. It's pretty cool.
It's a pretty good swath of folks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Indeed. Netherlands, I saw was popped in. They're relatively new. We don't have a lot of folks who show up from Netherlands, so glad that they're here. And everyone, I would encourage you as well to, thanks for that reminder, Daniel. I want to encourage you guys as well to make sure that you're introducing yourselves and where you're coming from. But also, as Rob and I get into our conversation, it's not just sitting back and passively listening to Rob and I chat. I'd love for you to ask your questions or add your comments. Again, I'm going to say, if you are going to be at Google Next, let us know, because, well, Rob and I are going to be there. Kimberly, I'm in your city of Dallas over here at, where am I? I'm at the Gaylord. At a channel event. So Rob, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to get into a lot of the cool tech coming from and happening right now at in and around what's happening at Google, especially in the AI space. Everybody's interested in that.
Yeah.
But I'm a little distracted at the moment by the sneakers on the wall. For somebody to enjoy sneakers is one thing. For somebody to mount them on the wall is another thing. And I think we got to push pause and let us know what's going on with the sneaker excitement.
Yeah, so let me explain. First of all, I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, right? And if you live in the state of North Carolina, let alone Raleigh, if you don't appreciate college basketball, they kick you out of the state. I mean, that's literally what happens. And
That's
so,
why I'm not allowed to live there.
yeah, huge college basketball fan and huge Michael Jordan fan. And the sneakers that are red, black, and white, those are original AJ1s. And some of you may have seen the movie Air. Those are the originals. Those are mine from middle school. And, quick story, I remember when I bought those were $65. And my parents said, there is no way we are going to pay $65 for a pair of shoes, which nowadays is nothing.
Right.
They said, if you want them, you got to save up. So mowed lawns and found a place called Interstate Mall that had them for $62.50. So I got to save a little bit and bought them, put them on. I was so proud of them, wore them to basketball practice. And Coach Wallace said, those are the most disgusting shoes I've ever seen. You can't wear
Classic
those.
Coach Wallace.
Yeah, they don't match our uniform. And so I just wore them for pickup. And but I've held on to them ever since. I think just because I was so proud that this was really the first thing that I bought, and also because I love Michael Jordan. Then those up above, the Carolina blue. And as you can see, I'm wearing Carolina blue.
Yeah.
Those are golf shoes. Those are Air Jordan golf shoes. So he's got an affinity for golf, and those were made for the UNC golf team. I was lucky enough to get a pair, and I've never worn those. I've just kept them on the shelf. But that's who they were made for.
That's pretty impressive. So somebody just commented as you were telling that. What do you think your original AJs are worth right now?
You know what?
I know you've looked. You had to have looked.
So first of all, they look really good on a shelf, but they're disgusting. I think they might have black mold on them. I mean, they're pretty gross. However, I have had people offer me thousands of dollars for those that are sneakerheads. I don't have the original box. I don't have any of that stuff. But
right,
yeah, they even the disgusting, awful ones still go for thousands of dollars. It's crazy. I'll show you one last thing.
Okay.
Reach up. So these are obviously brand new.
Yeah.
But these are golf shoes. Yeah. So I would never wear these on the golf course. I would look very, very foolish. But yeah, they came out with these, and I was lucky enough to get a pair, so I keep them on a shelf up above to look at what some new ones could look like.
There you go. So the only thing that would look more foolish on the golf course than those would be me, because I'm a horrible golfer. My running joke that the only golf course I play on has to have windmills and dragons.
Yes.
And so that's where I show up. Now you showing sneakers. I've got some Air Forces here. Now,
the Air Force Ones, probably.
I do. Now, they're a very special Air Force Ones. So I work for Rackspace. I've been at Rackspace for a good long time. I come to these events. I like to wear sneakers. My son is he's a tattoo artist, street artist, all the things. So I gave him a document, a Word document. We call it a Google Doc. 3 pages of just Rackspace stuff. And
I like those. Yeah, those are very, very nice.
Yeah, so it's all custom stuff. The Rackspace logo all over them.
That's cool.
I wear these to events, and it becomes a bit of a conversation piece.
Yeah, I visited our Reston office, and there was a person there. I can't remember his name, but he had some Google Air Force Ones. Those are cool.
Really?
Those are really, really cool.
That is really cool. All right, we didn't come here to talk sneaker culture, although I have a feeling we could
we could do that another time.
I think we should, because the people are really chatting. They're into this stuff. I had no idea it was so huge. It's huge.
It is. Yeah, everybody's into the shoes. That is.
All right. So Rob, you're over at Google. You've been there about 4 years. At most jobs, 4 years. You're just getting broken in. Rob, you're an old timer over at Google as far as 4 years is concerned.
4 years at Google Cloud is an eternity. It really, really is. So yeah, September will be 4 years. Very thankful to be here. And it's been an incredible ride, right? If you look in terms of, the revenues, we just released our earnings.
You had a good call.
It was our first $8 billion quarter. right? If you go ahead and look at when I first joined, we were basically doing 3 billion in revenue for the entire year. So a lot of growth in a short amount of time. So that's for sure.
Well, and really accelerating. And AI is absolutely, I mean, across everything. AI is the catalyst. It's the door opener. It's the conversation. I could walk down in a jetway at an airport and I can hear people talking about AI. You can't even call it the flavor of the month. I mean, we woke up. This is my running line is we woke up from New Year's Eve and here or from New Year's January 1st, January 2nd. We show back to work. Well, not me, but some people did, and everybody's all excited about ChatGPT, thinking, "Hey, AI is new and it's here." Now, you and I both know it's been here for years, and you guys have been charging away at building some of this stuff that's now helping to transform the world. So, how is your job, of course, is overseeing partnerships and those relationships over time. So actually, you should probably define your role. You do it better than I do.
Yeah.
So what are you over, first of all, at Google?
Yeah. So what I'm in charge of is I'm the director of channel sales for North America, right? And so basically what that means is any partner that does sales execution, that could be resell, also those partners that drive services. So I have a team of what's called RPDMs, Regional Partner Development Managers.
Yeah.
They work with our sales teams to make sure that partners are included as part of those sales opportunities, both on the resell side and then also on the services side.
Yeah.
And then I have a team of partner development managers. Those are those individuals that manage partners and could manage them individually. And this is more from a North America focus, but let's face it, a lot of times we are also expanding globally as well. So Rackspace is one of those partners that we look at from a global standpoint.
You know who else has a channel team?
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry. We get a lot of interaction when we show sneakers on our
yeah. So we work hand in hand with you, and we have not just one PDM, but two PDMs, Alan and Amber, that drive that execution out in the field with Rackspace.
That's pretty incredible. So, but let's get into the tech a little bit and how you're seeing companies using. Let's talk AI. Rackspace has gotten pretty excited about helping companies with AI, and partially just because we're getting so many questions about it. Everybody wants to know how they can transform their business, how they can get a leg up against their competitors, how they can catch up in some cases to their competitors. So, as your folks are getting out and talking to companies like a Rackspace or others, what are you hearing customers asking about AI, and how is Google answering that call?
Yeah, and let me go back to some of the things you said earlier. We have been in the AI game for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the elements behind Bard, that goes back to 2014, 2015.
It really does.
However, it wasn't until Microsoft released ChatGPT that really opened up the game. And we knew that we needed to be responsible in terms of what we were doing with AI. Thus, some of the reluctance to go ahead and release what we were doing. But of course, now with ChatGPT, we decided to go ahead and look internally and say, these are the elements that are going to release, both on the consumer side and then on the enterprise side.
Yeah.
If you look at what companies are wanting to do with AI, it's exactly what you said. How do we transform our business? How do we transform it quickly? How do we stay ahead of our competition, right? And some of the press releases you've seen in terms of what we're doing, I mean, one was with Wendy's, right? And so, they want to transform in terms of how many customers can get in and out of drive-through much more easily and make it much more interactive. And so that's something we're working with Wendy's today, is to go ahead and revolutionize that entire experience of the drive-through. Some of it can be mission critical, right? If you look in terms of what we're doing around cancer research, being able to detect cancer even better and quicker than doctors that have been trained around this. And most recently it was around skin cancer in terms of where we're able to go ahead and be able to identify. So these are just some of the things that you'll find out there. What I will say is, yes, technology is one thing, and you've got to have the tech to go ahead and power it. But this is where partners come into play, and partners like Rackspace, we need solutions, right? Yeah. So I always call it from wow to how, right? So
Love that
being able
phrase.
to go ahead and come in there and say, this is what we think you want. This is that wow factor. And customer will say, yeah, that's absolutely it. But how do we get there? And that's where a partner will go ahead and come into play to go ahead and deliver that true solution out there. We have a very limited number of what I'd call professional services consulting folks within our organization. And so we will often point to the partners to say, we need you to go ahead and drive this for us.
Yeah, yeah. I love the phrase of wow to how, because you guys can come in with the Wendy's examples or the skin cancer examples, but at some point somebody has to put the Lego pieces together
Yep.
and into a way that creates a meaningful outcome. I was just having here at this event. It's a technology services distribution company called Teleris, and their CEO was on stage yesterday, and he was giving examples actually from when electricity was first came out, and everybody was excited about electricity because you could have a light bulb. I got lights all around me for this event, but
Yep.
everybody here in Texas, he was telling the story about how Lyndon Johnson, who ultimately he was senator at the time, but became president, of course, here in the U.S., would go around effectively ranch to ranch, home to home, and have conversation. They say, I can light my kerosene lamp. What do I need to pay for this co-op to come in? And ultimately it was like, but you could also run a pump and bring water into your house and not have to carry it. You could also refrigerate the milk that's coming from the dairy cows. You could also, with these tangible examples. And from there, then people said, what else could we do with
Sure.
electricity? And I feel like we're at that moment. And from an AI point of view, where we look at the capabilities that exist. And I think that's partially why ChatGPT was so popular, because it gave us a very tangible way to utilize the tool. Now, as you even mentioned, AI has been being used. You guys have been slogging away at it since 2014, and it's been powering, what is it, 8, 9 services that you have that are over a billion
Yep.
users a day. I lose track of the number because it seems to keep going up. But now people are able to look at this and look at the tooling, understand the tooling, and figure out how to apply it. Now, there's a couple of questions I want to address also that are popping in the chat, folks. Keep them coming. But I also want to challenge everyone who is watching us here today, because in a lot of all of this technology, we look to our organizations and go, okay, how are you going to empower us? As every individual. But there's so much AI that can enable you to do the things that you do every day. You can absolutely, as an individual, lead by example. Maybe it's utilizing Bard to help you with some ideas for the stuff that you have to write. I'm not saying plagiarize. I'm saying utilize it as a tool. I am a huge proponent and user of Grammarly. It behind the scenes is helping me not sound like an idiot and make sure that I have punctuation and capitalization, and I suck at spelling, and it fixes that, which is great. So my challenge to everyone is get out there and actually use it. Now, a couple of questions here, Rob, for you coming in. So does your division, for the folks that you're overseeing, is it all about software, or about do you also help with devices?
So yeah, good question. So my particular group does not work on the device side. We have a different group that works on the device side. That could be your Pixel devices. That could also be, some of the other devices that we have out there from Chromebooks. We only focus on software, and that software is everything around Google Cloud.
Yeah.
Some of that software, which you may not, think of, what was formerly known as Gmail, now Workspace, right? And so that is also some of the software that you find that fits within Google Cloud. And going back to the point that you made, a lot of AI you will find coming into our software coming forward. So we have a solution called Duet. That'll be something that you'll go ahead and start to see within Workspace starting in September. And so, just to give you an example, you start to type a new email. I'm going to go ahead and send it over to you, Jeff, and it will scan and say, hey, I see you've sent 10 emails to Jeff, and most of them have been around Air Jordan shoes. Do you want me to go ahead and start composing this for you with the context around Air Jordan? And so it'll be innovative in some of the things that you'll find out there. Things if you find within our Sheets product, right? I don't necessarily know the formula for this. Instead of having to hunt for it, it'll go ahead and create that formula for you on the fly. So things
Right.
like that you'll see built into the products going forward.
Now, I think a lot of folks at this point, they hear about the services that are watching the emails that you and I are sending back and forth to one another, and that kind of stuff can start to make people nervous. And there's been a lot of talk in the news and in and around, what is the end game? Where are things going with AI? And just this week, I think it was just this week, but your folks from Google, folks from Microsoft, folks from the OpenAI team, and Meta were all at the White House committing to safety, security,
Yep.
transparency in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going back to what I said earlier. That's one of the reasons why we have not come out and released everything all at once, right? And so, we need to be very cautious in terms of how we release products and some of the services that are out there. That's something that we feel is extremely important, and will continue to feel is extremely important. So you won't see everything released at once. That's also why, if you look at Bard, it's still not 100% available everywhere. So again, keeping
Robert,
cautious, making sure things are kept in check.
I really feel like this is the first time that I can think through, and I've been kind of struggling to come up with an example that would be different, where a software company has chosen to throttle their releases, not because the software wasn't ready, not because the technology wasn't ready, but because we weren't ready to deal with it in a lot of different ways, safely, securely, responsibly.
Yes.
But to allow emotional intelligence is wrong. Intelligence is wrong. There's another term in there.
Well, I think you phrase it. Responsibility is key, and we just want to make sure that we're extremely responsible in the way that we look at it internally, and the way that we release it to our customers and the overall customer base.
Yeah, so one of our regular watchers, listeners, is a lady I've known for forever. She's commenting in here, Susan Price, who is just amazing, and she's got a company here in San Antonio called Firecat Studios, but that's commenting here how her group is now helping to get out and help companies with their guardrails. And guardrails, I believe, is the perfect phrase, because you don't want a brick wall, you don't want to an open and no direction, but guardrails to help make sure that companies are using the tooling in an appropriate way.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I think guardrails is a great way to put it. And again, we are also depending on our partners to go ahead and help inform us of what some of those guardrails are. Because let's face it, we can't be everywhere. And like I said, our professional services organization is super small. And so our partners are taking the technology like Rackspace and bringing it to customers to go ahead and figure out different use cases that we may not have thought of internally, and then also educate us around some of the guardrails that they're seeing out there with customers.
Yeah, as Rackspace goes out and now has this offering, we call it FAIR, the Foundation for AI from Rackspace, to go out and help companies utilize it. We talk about having responsible use of AI, and we define what that means as when we say responsible AI, we've defined that to mean symbiotic, meaning we're talking about AI or the technology working with humans, not replacing humans, helping humans do their things better, making sure it is secure, and then also making sure that it is a sustainable solution. And we cover that in I think we've shared some of this stuff with you, Rob, but we talk about a process.
We jumped right in, right? So that was something you shared with us a couple months ago when we said sign us up, right?
Yeah, well, you guys are our key go to market partner with us. You actually kind of kicked us in the butt and said, we got some ideas, we can help you.
Yeah, so we did a press release with you, I think it was a month ago now.
Yeah.
And so, around this exact subject matter, and we're happy to do it.
Well, and the approach that we've taken, I love, and I hope it gets modeled elsewhere. It's not a bull in the china shop approach to it. It is it's iterative. We call it ideate, incubate, and industrialize. Let's first work through what do we think the great idea and plans are, and then how do we take that and build a POC around that, and then how do we industrialize that for use?
Yeah. No, it's great. And the other thing I'd say is obviously AI is the biggest subject matter that we have out there.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of other things that we obviously do with you and with our partners out there besides AI.
Right.
Things like, the other subject that I'd say, comes up a lot is, our marketplace.
Mm.
And this is, third-party ISVs, that want to go and take their solutions that are built on Google Cloud and go ahead and find a way to get it out to customers faster. And so that is something that is also something that's taking off with us, um, very much so right now.
Well, and I think that's we talked earlier about the wow to how, and that's it's a great phrase, it's a great catchphrase, but it talks about everything in that use case. It sounds like everything then is a one-off kind of a situation. What do you want? We can build it for you, which, there are those situations out there. But I think where the power of the partnership really starts to show up across all of your partners is when they take their unique things that they do super well. AI is an example, there are others, and create services, offerings, pre-canned things that can be customized that can also be deployed at a pretty quick pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do going back to marketplace.
Yeah.
Right now it's a place that a software company and ISV can go ahead and help distribute and sell their product. Eventually, what we want to do is also enable it so you could have a consulting package,
Mm.
offer it on marketplace, and be able to go ahead and sell that. What I will say is from that wow to how is you go ahead and you show something, and the customer says, "That's it. That's what I want. How do I get there?" We all know that what they thought they initially wanted also changes 5 times, 6 times, right? And so it's
Yeah.
essence that change order process, but that's okay. At least you baked into that idea, and now you're starting the innovation from there and are able to go ahead and change it along the way as well.
Right, right. Hey, Daniel, producer Daniel, pop up on the screen. We over at our Solve program, which all of this is a part of. It's our thought leadership program. We've got a couple of articles over there. Daniel's got one in healthcare talking about how we've helped some companies, how they create. Here it says AI is driving the value-based care revolution in healthcare. So this is not a sales thing, folks. It's education. So go check that out and see what that can do
Yeah.
for you there.
And what I say, I gave the example around AI with healthcare. Healthcare is one of our number one verticals out there.
Yeah.
There was a press release that many of you may have seen recently. If you haven't, it's around Epic.
Mm-hmm.
And now Epic is something that runs on Google. We're finding a lot of the old VDI solutions, and Rackspace has worked with a lot of the old VDI solutions that are on Epic are wanting to move over to the cloud.
Yeah.
Hackensack Medical is actually one of those first that is going through that process right now. And of course, that introduces security, introduces AI, and that's a lot of consulting that we're going through with around that process also.
Well, why I love AI, it's been a phrase for the morning, is because it is the catalyst. It's what's opening so many doors to transformation. I started my career in tech very much in and around the collaboration space, and all of that tech that we used for that, I really felt like I was walking around. Here's my solution. Now I have to convince you have a problem and need to use this stuff. But now with AI, people are like, I want to be able to do the thing. Well, you should be able to do the thing, but we've got to get your data correct at this before you can do a data services type of an offering. Your compute has to be in an appropriate space, and it gives people a reason to adopt some of this great technology, and in this case, great technology from Google.
Yes. Yeah. And I'd say that's the other things that people are wrestling with, because Google is a leader in the data and analytics space.
Yeah.
And oftentimes customers will come with us and say, we want AI. Well, do you really want AI, or really do we need to go ahead and look more at a data and analytics solution versus just AI?
That's
So
right.
like I said, AI is definitely the big subject matter, but sometimes you don't need AI to go ahead and solve the issue or the problem that you're having. It could be a problem just around data and analytics. And so that is something that we continually educate our customer base on as well.
Yeah. Well, folks, if you want to learn more about any of this stuff, we've got all sorts of great educational information over at rackspace.com/solve. So head over there. You can find more out there. If you just want to get a hold of us, you can find Rob over on LinkedIn. You can find me over there. You can send us an email at solve@rackspace.com. Would love to have you on this program and learn more about it. Bring your comments back as well. So feel free to reach out to us. Rob, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the program.
Thanks for having
today.
me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And it was awesome to see so many people from around the world were able to attend. That's awesome.
And so many sneaker lovers.
That'll be the next show that we do.
That's right. I mentioned to everybody before that I'm here at an event in Dallas and for a company called Teleris. Now, their VP over engineering for cloud, a guy named Colby, is going to be joining me next week, next Tuesday. I hope you'll be able to join that. I'll be back in San Antonio. He'll be back in Seattle, so he gets to do that call at 6:30 a.m. So feel free to join in with that and to continue really a conversation about how partners across the U.S. are really helping to get companies to transform their tech. So with that, folks, I hope to see you next week at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Rob, thanks so much for getting up with us here this morning. I know everybody enjoyed the conversation. There were lots of great questions about, well, both of our subjects today, sneakers and technology.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next week on Cloud Talk Live.